This is a European spec Haibike. It's called the Cross EQ. I'm not sure exactly how much this costs, what year it's from. I'm guessing maybe 2012, 2013. It does use the Gen 1 Bosch Centerdrive, and that's why I wanted to cover it. It was just to talk about what's changed and to give people kind of a look at this first generation of technology from Bosch, which has now evolved to Gen 2, and we've got the CX, kind of like a high torque, and we've even got a high speed 28 mile per hour system. In Europe, this was limited to 25 kilometers per hour, about 15.5 miles per hour. You can see the battery pack, it's still very similar to the Powerpack 400, which is 36 volts, 11 amp hours. This one's only 8 amp hours, so a little bit smaller, but a similar design. This strap, making it a little easier to carry around instead of the loop at the front, still locking. Very nice, keeps the weight low in center, which has always been one of the benefits of the Bosch or any center drive system. And this one, the tubing on the down tube actually kind of protects and surrounds, and you'll notice that the sprocket is much more traditionally sized. It's not that tiny little 2-to-1 ratio sprocket that the new Bosch systems have. I think that's very cool. This bike also has some other neat extras. You can see that there's bosses for adding a rear rack, which they've done here, and then there's the SRAM dual drive, so that's an internally geared 2-speed paired with a 9-speed cassette SRAM X9. So this is an 18-speed bike. Pretty cool way to get around the limited single chainring up front, and that's still how Bosch does it. It just keeps things on track, it lightens it up, there's just less complexity. You only have one derailleur back here. I'm not sure if this one had shift detection or not, but the new ones do, and it's software driven. So it's not perfect, it's not quite as solid as the Impulse 2 system, but it's better than nothing, and it certainly helps to decrease the wear and strain on some of that drivetrain componentry. Nice kickstand here, more traditional diamond-shaped frame. A lot of the new Haibike frames, they have this similar kind of bend in the seat tube, and that sort of aligns with the head tube, and maybe it allows you to kind of change the reach a little bit. And I think part of it might just be style. You can see a little bit of that early kind of square tubing design, although the top is more rounded, and so are the seat stays and the chain stay back here. And then this triangle connects really high up by the seat, where the seat post actually enters the seat tube. A lot of the new ones, they bring that down, and I guess it's supposed to dampen the ride a little bit, and I personally think it looks kind of neat. It's sort of iconic. It does make it more difficult to mount these racks unless you get something like the trekking bikes. So I don't know, that's kind of interesting. The Cross is a little bit more of a city commuting type of platform. It does have the disc brakes, which is awesome, but you know, there's a little bit of a rise in the handlebars, more active saddle. I don't know, it's got the suspension fork, just kind of interesting. Lockout on that, Magura hydraulic brakes. Just neat to kind of see the evolution of something that to me looks more like a regular bicycle to what we have now, which is just a much cooler looking frame, different, angular, that kind of thing. That's the direction they've been going, and all their bikes seem to follow that. The display system has also evolved. So this is like the Gen 1 display. First we have to power on the battery pack, press a button down here, and then the display comes to life. The new one's pretty cool. You know, it's right in the center, it's a little bit larger, easier to read, and it has a separated button pad. To turn that one on, you press the power button right there on the Intuvia, versus this one, it's down on the battery. You still have a lot of the same readouts though. Speed, kilometers per hour, assist level. It does go down to 0, which is nice. And then there's this info reset button, which allows you to change from range to average speed, trip distance, odometer. And the range is, again, that's sort of a dynamic, looks at the pedal assist level that you're in, it measures the battery capacity, and it says, hey, we think you can go 55 kilometers in level 1, you go up to 2, 40 kilometers, and 3, 30 kilometers. So it's very cool. There's a light button over here, and then I guess mode. It says eco mode, tour mode, sport mode, speed mode. So that's interesting. I guess that combines with those 3 levels. That's what I'm used to seeing on the new system. So I'm not exactly sure how these work together. So feel free to chime in the comments and help me out. I'm just sort of experimenting with this, trying to figure it out on my own. It's like the only one I've seen in the United States, and I thought it was cool. So let's hop on and just give it a try. I'm in eco right now. Let's start pedaling. Yeah, and it's just real gentle. still really responsive. Considering it's got that larger chainring, it's definitely more responsive than even some of the more modern drive systems I've seen, like Yamaha, where it's not quite as active. So this time I'm going to, let's see, bring it up to speed mode, and we'll see how that changes things. Oh yeah, I can already feel and hear the difference. And now we're up to, there we go. Once we pass those 25 kilometers per hour, the motor just shut down. And that's the legal limitation in Europe. So I don't know, that's interesting. There seems to be a bit of redundancy between those 3 like different levels and then the 4 modes. I guess that's why they switched to just only modes with the Intuvia display. Still very cool. Neat to see this thing. Still impressive after all these years. And from what I was told, you know, this bike was hanging out in the lobby of one of the Excel Group headquarters. I'm here in Simi Valley checking out iZip and Raleigh, Haibike stuff. And this was just hanging around. I don't think anyone really ridden it for a long time, and it wasn't plugged in. The battery pack was still full. So they must have charged it like X number of years ago, and they left it there, and it still had a charge, and in fact, full charge. So that's really cool. That's a testament to their battery management system and just the longevity of what you could expect with a Bosch product. I think that's kind of neat. And no one was like, hey, check that out, or I just sort of picked this thing up and wanted to share my experience, give some feedback. I'm definitely a fan of this system because it is more refined, it's more responsive, it's a little bit louder at those higher RPMs, especially with the new system, but it's just so capable. It's kind of a night and day difference between this and some of the other systems, which is why it costs more. I'll be reviewing some of the other newer bikes ongoing, and for all that, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. If you have any questions or comments or corrections for me on this just impromptu quick overview, feel free to chime in the comments. I always appreciate the feedback, and I just basically want to get this right and help people make informed decisions and appreciate some of this old, really cool technology. Ride safe.